Kalbėjom apie, kaip minėjau, Dievo buvimo įrodymus, ar Jėzus Kristus prisikėlė iš numirusių, kaip tai būtų galima patikrinti istoriškai ir visus kitus panašius klausimus. Dažniausiai kalbu aš, pristatau kokią nors temą, bet jeigu yra galimybė, noriu pasikviesti žmogų, kuris tai galėtų padaryti žymiai geriau. Tai vienas toks žmogus jau buvo čia, prieš paskutiniam susitikime buvo Sidas, kuris dabar yra dalyvis, svečias, kuris klausysis to, ką Metju turės pasakyti. Ir Sidas kalbėjo apie Biblijos tariamus Biblijos neatitikimus. Kodėl vienoje vietoje parašyta taip, o kitoje vietoje parašyta taip, ar įmanom tai suderinti ir panašiai. Tai jeigu ką, galima šitą įrašą rasti internete, apologetika.lt YouTube kanale. Antras svečias, kuris dabar jau bus ne Sidas ir ne aš, tai yra Steinfeld, kuris yra buvęs LCC Tarptautinio universiteto dėstytojas, jis ten dėstė įvadą į Bibliją, bet šiaip turi daktaro laipsnį iš Birmingemo universiteto Anglijoje, kur yra įgijęs Biblijos studijų daktaro laipsnį. Taip pat yra studijavęs Dalos teologinėje seminarijoje, o šiuo metu yra Vilniaus tarptautinės bažnyčios pastorius. Atvyko iš čia kartu su savo žmona Jenny, kuri taip pat čia sėdi, dažniausiai žmonės yra nematomus, bet mes esam dėkingi ir Jenny, kad neišleido matą čia pakalbėti. Ir šiandien Metju pats pristatys daugiau savo temą, bet jinai yra pavadinta taip pakankamai intriguojančiai. The quest for the earliest Greek New Testament. Viskas parašyta čia, aišku, galima paprašiau. Nuo čia bus visa paskaita anglų kalba. Tai įvadas yra lietuvių kalba tam, kad kas žiūrės, jeigu žiūrės lietuviškai, po to mes galėsim pabandyti padaryti vertimą, nes norim padaryti kuo daugiau prieinamos medžiagos būtent lietuviškai. Tai net jeigu darom anglų kalbą, galiausiai bandom vis tiek viską padaryti kiek įmanoma labiau prieinama lietuviškai. Aš Sidui verčiau tada iš priekio praeitą kartą, bet gausi labai ilgas procesas, dėl to nusprendėm, kad pabandysiu šį kartą šiek tiek kitaip. Ir technologijų pagalba gal mums pavyks padaryti taip, kaip viskas priklauso. Jeigu norėsit sužinoti daugiau apie Reasonable Faith, nors dauguma čia jau nemažai ką žinom, matau porą žmonių, gal kur nesu tik matęs, paliksiu brošiūrų, galėsit pažiūrėti, paskaityti daugiau. Tai vakaro eiga, jeigu trumpai bus tokia, Metju pristatys, skaitys savo paskaitą, po to galėsite jam užduoti klausimus ir tada, jeigu kažkiek liks laiko, tada gerdami kavą arbatą dar galėsim padiskutuoti ir asmeniškai, galėsit prieiti prie Metju, paklausti, jeigu turėsit kokių nors klausimų būtent jam. Tai kol kas tiek iš manęs, Metju, over to you.
Ačiū Laurinai, labas vakaras visiems. Aš esu Steinfeldas. Atsiprašau, nekalbu, nesuprantu lietuviškai blogai. Lietuviškai viskas. How you doing? I'm Matthew Steinfeld, and I guess I should just start by saying, I guess Lorena's told you that I have a background in theology and Bible. And what we're going to be talking about today is the quest for the earliest Greek New Testament, but more importantly, the origins of the New Testament, the origins of the Christian Bible. Okay? So, where does the New Testament come from? Okay, some other religions say that their religious texts are fallen out of the sky in golden tablets, or that there's a specific prophet that God speaks to, or dictates to. He speaks directly to this person, and they write down word for word everything that God tells them. And that's the origin of their texts. Well, Christianity is a little bit different. Okay, so this is my answer for Christianity. First century eyewitnesses and their stories recorded from oral history. Okay, so in other words, eyewitnesses, people who walked and talked with Jesus, namely the disciples, wrote the Gospels, and other friends or people who knew first century eyewitnesses recorded the majority of the New Testament, namely Paul, the Apostle Paul, who didn't know Jesus personally. Okay, so Paul claimed to have had an experience of the risen Christ in the book of Acts, and therefore he says that he is qualified because he's had this experience and knows the mind of Christ through this experience. Okay. First question is, where does the New Testament come from? But which New Testament? Oh, a little controversy. Now, what do I mean by that? It depends on what you mean. Okay, so this is where the origins of the New Testament come from. Our discussion. This is where the search begins, you could say. All right. Any New Testament you will ever read, and I'm talking specifically about a published text, one that you, a modern, maybe it's an English or a Lithuanian Bible New Testament, is a result of manuscripts, or, this is important, based on previous translations. So, for example, I'm pretty sure the main Lithuanian New Testament, Naujasis Testamentas, is a translation of a translation. I think it's the King James. I may be wrong, but the English Standard Version, the New American Standard Version, those are really popular English translations. Those are translations of the King James. But the King James, for example, is a translation from Greek manuscripts. Okay. New Testament manuscripts, they're all unique. They all have, they're usually because the books of the New Testament were written as individual texts, the manuscripts that contain these texts are often varying in what they contain. Okay, so they're unique in size, not just in how much text they have, but actually the size of the manuscript, whether it's a massive book like Codex Sinaiticus or a small little papyrus like what P46 is from. Those are individual manuscripts. Okay, so they vary in size, what text they contain, and the biblical books. Format, for example, the most important manuscripts of the New Testament have been found are continuous text, which means that it's continual text of the New Testament. On the other hand, there's commentary texts that have maybe a block of text, and then around it is commentary of a specific church father, historian, or biblical scholar. Okay. Style, language, Greek, Latin, Georgian, all kinds of various Slavic languages that New Testament manuscripts are found in. And each of these idiosyncrasies make them unique. It's typically, if you open up a published New Testament, it typically goes from Matthew to Revelation. So some of these manuscripts may have been broken up, or some parts have been destroyed in fires, for example. And so not every manuscript is a complete New Testament. So there's different sections in each one oftentimes. Interesting, this is often considering this is a talk at Reasonable Faith, I'm assuming that it is persuading people to believe because it's reasonable on top of other things. The New Testament is preserved more than any other ancient work of literature, with over 5,800 complete or fragmented Greek manuscripts. But that's not all. 10,000 Latin manuscripts and 9,300 manuscripts in other languages. Some of the things I mentioned, Georgian, Syriac, Slavic, Gothic, Ethiopic, Coptic, Armenian. It's an incredible how much the Bible or the New Testament's been preserved in manuscript form. Okay, so what is a manuscript? Manuscript comes from the Latin word manu inscriptus, which just means hand written. Okay, so we're talking about artifacts that have been created by long processes of time and money, which will play an interesting part in the story. So Biblia comes from the Greek word to Biblia. In one of Paul the Apostle's letters, he says, "Bring the parchments, bring the Biblia." He's asking someone to bring him copies of perhaps the Old Testament or the Hebrew Bible for him to study as he's in prison. Okay, so Biblia gets anglicized into Bible, and the rest is history. So I don't know if you can see this very well. This is perhaps the most famous manuscript. Half of parts of it's in Ann Arbor, Michigan, at the University of Michigan, and another part of it is in Dublin, at the Dublin Library, Chester Beatty Library in Dublin. Excuse me. This is one sheet from, or a folio from Papyrus 46, the earliest copy of Paul. And the reason that it's important is because it's written on a particular type of manuscript, papyrus, which is native to Egypt, where they would take dried reeds and they would press them, and there would be kind of like a natural glue that would create this type of medium for them to write on. Earliest manuscript of Paul. It's not complete, but it is the earliest witness to the letters of Paul. There's a little up close. This is just a standard early Greek script. Okay, as the years progress and they switch over to vellum, which is animal skin, the letters become more blocked, and but this is what the 2nd and 3rd century Christians would have read had they had access to it. And something, even though this looks somewhat archaic, it would have been extremely expensive for this to be made. Okay, I don't know if you can see this or not. It says Pros Corinthios, to the Corinthians. 1 Corinthians. Okay, this is the first page of 1 Corinthians. And I transcribed the text. So, Paulos, Kletos, Apostolos, Kyrie Jesu. Paul, called an apostle of Christ Jesus through the desire of God and Sosthenes. We can read it. But it's interesting how the cursive turns into letters, and we can go back and say, okay, this is what the text says of the 2nd century. It's very, very fascinating. As I said earlier, this is a later manuscript. This is Sinaiticus. It's a 4th century, and this is one of the earliest complete copies of the New Testament. Notice how from the 2nd century to the 4th century we have, it's now in columns. It's now in block letters, if you can see that. It's much more sophisticated, I guess you could say. Very expensive, very thin sheets of animal skin. And if this is a complete Bible, it's very, very thick. It's a very, very large, imposing manuscript in person, as opposed to the previous manuscript that I showed. This is a late Byzantine 10th century manuscript. This isn't a copy. This is actually a scan that I made from some microfilm from the British Library way back when I was in school. More cursive. This is as it gets into the Byzantine era in the Middle Ages, the hand goes from block to more cursive writing. All right. As I said earlier, the great majority of these manuscripts, they only contain only a part of the 4 possible sets of Gospels: Acts, Catholic epistles, Paul, and Revelation. Now, most manuscripts contain only the Gospels. Out of that 5,800 of Greek manuscripts, most of them only have the Gospels, which makes P46 important because it's a very, very early complete copy of Paul. And others contain all but Revelation, but there's other combinations. All right, 61 Greek manuscripts contain the entire Greek New Testament. And between 6 or 8, I couldn't remember when I made this slide, either contain or used to contain the entire Bible. Used to contain. Now, what I mean by that is looking at a manuscript as it stands today, you can kind of make some assessments whether it would have been an entire collection, an entire New Testament, or if it only just meant to be the Gospels, or only just meant to be the Pauline epistles. So, out of 5,800, 61 Greek manuscripts either contain or used to contain the entire Bible. And as I said earlier, these complete manuscripts would have been deluxe quality. They would have been expensive. Codex Sinaiticus, the second manuscript that we saw with the block letters, extremely expensive. And as I said earlier, only 4 out of 72 parchment. Remember, parchment is paper. There's only 4 out of 72 continuous text manuscripts dated before the 6th century. Okay, so there might be a lot, you might hear the argument that there's this vast amount of evidence of the Greek New Testament that's been recovered and studied, but there aren't really that many manuscripts that are early, before the 6th century. So if we have Jesus and the apostles in the 1st century, and a lot of the New Testaments written within the middle of that century, then most manuscripts are older than 500-600 years after those events. Okay, so that leaves us with questions. Okay, if there's this amount of evidence that's found, and a lot of the Greek manuscripts were found in Egypt. Why Egypt? Because of its climate. The dryness of the sands, the dryness of the climate. If you would take, for example, Syria or Caesarea or other places that were closer to the water, you might find that these manuscripts would have been rotten or decomposed, or all other many reasons. Some manuscripts were destroyed because of persecution, so it's not just natural causes that the manuscripts would no longer be in existence. Okay, so within the manuscripts that exist, I put this in here because this is kind of an incredible fact. A rate of fewer than 5 in 1,000 words have been changed within the comparison of the manuscripts that exist. You might think, oh no, has the Bible been changed? And a lot of the differences that we find between the manuscripts has to do with spelling and punctuation. Now, if we go back really quick, you'll notice that there's no spacing in this manuscript. Right? It's just continual, and it cuts off maybe mid-word and picks up on the next line. So you could even try this in your own language, whether it's Lithuanian or English. If you wrote, say, an email to someone and took out all the spaces, there might be some instances where if you weren't paying attention, you could put an S on the beginning of the next word on accident, or whatever, you know, if you're writing in the plural, like with an I on the end in Lithuanian, you might put the I on the beginning of the next word because there's no spaces. Even though you're an expert in your own language, a lot of times, over time, the scribes, especially if they've been sitting at a table and they're hunched over and they're drinking coffee and they're trying to stay awake and they're maybe nodding off, right? They're not thinking maybe about the words, but they're thinking more about how to draw the words. And so there's a bunch of different reasons for why the spelling is different. As later on, manuscripts have more spacing. But even then, there's times or instances where it's not exactly as the copy that they're copying from is the same. Okay, so an important thing is that the single codex. A codex is stacks of sheets and with a binding or a book. Codex is a fancy word for a book. Codexes were rare. Now, all of us, whether you're a Christian or you go to the public library, we all have access to Bibles. It's a luxury back then. It would have been expensive, and we'll get to why that is. Now, let's keep it going. So what I was saying earlier is that the accuracy of the modern, compared to modern collating or transcribing of manuscripts, it's actually pretty remarkable how they've been copied. Here's a little meta question for you. If all the Bibles and biblical manuscripts were to disappear right now, would that affect your Christian faith? And if you don't have Christian faith, would it change your perspective on whether the Christian faith was reasonable? All right, keep going with the theme here. Now, why do I ask that? I ask that because as where we stand in history, we have access to the Bible, and the Bible is very, very common for us to use and to have access to, which makes it something of, if it were to be taken out of our life or out of our ability or reading, how would that affect what we know about Christianity? And the reason I say that is because I think this is a really important question for this search for the earliest New Testament. So I leave this up to you to decide. Maybe someone could give us an answer. Do you think that the presence or the existence of the Bible would make a drastic change to the practice of Christianity or the practice of faith? Maybe even a church service? Yes, sir.
Maybe for those for whom tradition is more important than the written text.
Okay.
Maybe that wouldn't be a big difference.
Okay.
In a different case, I heard evangelist, maybe pastor, who said that if the persecution came and, for example, everybody just burned all the books, available Bibles, maybe it would be a good thing for everybody to start memorizing. So if there was people who memorized everything, then that also maybe wouldn't change the situation.
Okay.
The book of Eli.
Right. So we have memorization, which would have been a major help to many early Christians, considering the expensive nature of codex and the manuscript business. All right. I asked that to get you thinking about what is the Bible's place within historical Christianity. All right. Does anybody know who this is? Good. Gutenberg. And what did he do? He would...
Printing press.
Printing press. It's a blacksmith and a goldsmith too, don't forget that. And inventor. Alright, so he was the first European to use movable text type. 1439. Alright? This is an important date for the modern Christian. This is my opinion. This man single-handedly changed the way Christians think about their relationship to the Bible. Why do I say that? Well, before him, almost 1,500 years, Christian scriptures were copied by hand. It was expensive, it was time-consuming. And now there's a cheap, relatively cheap way for Christians and other people who are interested in reading the Bible to have a copy. Not just a section, not just a piece, but a way to make a replicable with much less mistakes, much less human error, to create a copy, a full copy in mass, meaning everybody, large groups of people can have their own copy. Okay, this is the Gutenberg Bible. It was printed in Latin. See how massive this is? And this is small text too. So imagine if it was handwritten, how much bigger would it be? How much more material it would take? All right, so the Gutenberg Bible was Latin. It was a Latin version, which means that it was translated from Greek manuscripts into Latin, and then it was translated from Latin into German. Okay? Because of its prominence, it was the first copy or edition to be put in everyone's hands. It clearly became the favorite of everyone because that was the one. Maybe that was their first one to have. Maybe that was the first Bible for someone to have. It became the undisputed preferred text of the Roman Catholic Church. And there were much older Latin texts that were in existence, but it says here in the Council of Trent that the Roman Catholic Church declared the Vulgate to be the authoritative text of Scripture. That doesn't mean that there weren't other versions of the New Testament and other manuscripts, but that this particular Latin text was the authoritative text. And that's the text from which Gutenberg translated or printed. Okay. Anybody know who this is?
Erasmus.
Erasmus is the founder of a 21st century European exchange program for university students to travel to other countries.
He's way ahead of his time.
To party. That cross is supposed to be over party. Because we know it's really about studying and not about drinking. But little joke there. The formatting messed up. Punchline, sorry. Okay. Erasmus, he was a Dutch Christian, humanist, and he was a great scholar. And he was a Greek and Latin beast, meaning that he was very proficient in Greek and Latin. And he comes up with his own edition of the New Testament. An edition meaning that he took various manuscripts and he wanted to find the best text based on the manuscripts that were available. So he looked at all the Greek texts that he had access to, and then he made an edition of the Greek New Testament, noting which manuscripts that he chose the readings from. Okay? This is called an eclectic edition, meaning that you take little bits and pieces from the best parts and you say, actually, this is more likely to be what the original text is, or the earliest text is. Okay, but here's the thing. Erasmus didn't have access to a lot of the manuscripts that we have access to now, which is really quite extraordinary. A lot of the earliest manuscripts that we have been found relatively late, like within the last 300 years, 400 years or so. So most of the manuscripts that Erasmus had access to were later, were older. And even he says that it was rushed to print. Now, why would he do that? Well, he had competition, you see. There were other people that were printing or working on editions. And there was this kind of struggle to see who could do it first, who could get the first edition out. Okay, so there's a little bit of a background story for this. Now, later versions of the Greek New Testament were made by others, but Erasmus's Greek New Testament, Erasmus, the editions that came out of the tradition of Erasmus became known as the Textus Receptus. These are later manuscripts that would be the definitive basis of the King James. Okay, so that's 1611. I don't know what that is.
Let's wait, we'll see.
I think there's a connection issue.
While we're waiting, going back to the Latin Vulgate, if I remember, Jerome was contemporaneous with Eusebius, right? If I remember, I'm trying to remember.
Relatively, yeah.
Yeah, and Eusebius had said that there was a decree from the emperor that 200 manuscripts be made. Do you think that? Have you read or heard anything if Jerome had access to those manuscripts and when he made his Vulgate? Have you heard anything?
Yeah. I mean, Jerome is making an edition of the Latin text, and he is accessing various manuscripts in Latin to create kind of the definitive Latin version.
Well, I know he did use Greek too, according to the writings. I was wondering if he had access to those Greek ones that were.
Yeah. Okay, so the earliest editions, these editions that are being made, Erasmus's edition and Robert Stephanus' edition in 1550, these early editions of the Greek New Testament are only consulting a handful of manuscripts. And this just may be because of the expensive nature of traveling to various places, or it's just a matter of convenience. And a lot of the earlier manuscripts that we have today haven't been found yet. Okay, so here's the thing. You may have heard about this, but there is sometimes this conversation between kind of the King James and other versions of the Bible, and it's based on the fact that because of these manuscripts, the manuscripts that were available to create this Greek edition, Erasmus and Stephanus, which eventually became the English translation, based on the King James came from that Greek text, or translation of that Greek text. People they get a favorite text that they tie to, that they prefer. Okay, so if a later a manuscript comes that is older and it's found, it may cause controversy because it changes what people are used to. So these earlier editions of the Greek text are based on relatively late manuscripts. Now, I wanted to throw this in there, just different beliefs about the Bible, beliefs that other people, that some Christians have, and I'm just going to throw some out. Okay, here's a random list. Some people say that the Bible is inspired by the Holy Spirit, that the Holy Spirit led the apostles to write the words. And some, I don't know. Some may hold that it was dictated or influenced, or it caused them to think about what they were hearing or feeling from God. Another word that's thrown around is infallible, that it's without error or fault in all of its teaching. Some people actually say that there's no actual error, not necessarily in teaching, but in actual copying or in error. It's kind of a vague word, but that the Scripture, the original manuscripts, doesn't affirm anything that's contrary to fact. There's the Word of God. What does that mean? Is it the word that people heard from God? Is it a word that God spoke? We have a bunch of different kind of theologies that some people don't hold to. And this is kind of keeping in line with the question I asked. What if the Bible was removed from society? Now, I wanted to show you some copies of autographs, because in the previous slide here, some say that the original manuscripts did not have any error and whatnot. And it's easy to talk about original manuscripts, especially when we don't have any of the New Testament. Okay, so this is what an original manuscript looks like of Charles Dickens. Notice the edits. This looks like what someone, when they're writing a letter to someone, and they're not used to typing and going back and changing something. They're just writing. I'm like, I want to change the beginning of the story, right? This is what the author was working with. And it's interesting, this is just taken from some novels, that Christmas Carol, Mystery of Edmund Drood. But this is what an original manuscript looks like. Okay, we talking about original manuscripts. The issue that comes up is, well, this obviously isn't what a Christmas Carol looks like in printed form. But what would Charles Dickens say this is? Was this a rough draft? Was this, right? So when we talk about autographs, we need to be very specific, because I don't imagine Paul's letter to the Corinthians or his letters to the Romans looking any different than this as he's writing it. Maybe he edits it and sends out a final copy, but I just threw that in there for comparison, literary comparison. All right, textual criticism. Textual criticism is looking at manuscripts in order to find the best text. Okay, based on the copies, we know that there sometimes have been mistakes, there sometimes have been spelling errors, and so it's important to look at all the manuscripts to find which manuscripts have the best readings or likely to be the best reading. Okay, this semester I didn't sleep. Matthew's crisis of faith, dun dun dun, dramatic experience. Now, I put this in here because sometimes faith can be reasonable, and sometimes we need it to be reasonable. And for me, when I first started reading about manuscripts and textual criticism, it really freaked me out. It made me really, really nervous, because I started to think, well, what if my Bible's not right? What if this word was really that word? It changes the entire meaning. And if I can't trust the Bible, I can't trust God. I can't trust the gospel. I can't trust the story of Jesus. And I think this is incredibly important, especially in a country like Lithuania that's relatively conservative and probably puts emphasis on the Bible. The reason this freaked me out is because I realized that growing up in a conservative kind of background, my faith was in Jesus and the gospel, but it was mainly on the Bible. Okay? And this story, or the awareness of manuscripts, really caused me to kind of reassess what that is. Now, I said that the majority of Christians that have ever lived did not have access to the Bible until our friend Mr. Gutenberg. Now, I asked what it would be like if we took all the biblical manuscripts and Bibles out of our hands and they suddenly disappeared. How much would that change our perspective? Well, let's think. The first 1,500 years of Christianity, people didn't have their own personal copy of the Bible. What did they know? What did they believe? Greek word kerygma, the teaching, the oral presentation of the message. Maybe the reading of manuscripts, but people learned through audio. They learned through the voice. And this is related to the Greek word kerusso, which is to cry out, to proclaim the message. Okay? So, people lived, their faith lived and began with hearing the word, hearing the message. And it was only until later that the text became the focal point of the individual. After all, these would have been public readings. They would have to be public readings because not everybody had copies. We also have this Latin phrase, regula fidei, the rule of faith. That the rule of faith was the ultimate authority or standard of religious belief. Okay, this is why there was a necessity for creeds, because people would recite these creeds and it would remind them what they believe about God, about Jesus, about the Holy Spirit, about the church. Okay, so I'm putting a question in your mouth. Okay, Matthew, you mentioned the quest for the earliest New Testament. The trail goes cold in the 2nd and 3rd century, and the New Testament was written in the 1st century. Okay, so we have a little bit of a gap in time between the earliest artifacts of the Greek New Testament, which is the language it was written in, and the earliest existing manuscript of the Greek New Testament. When people... You're not laughing. You've never seen... It makes me sad. You've never seen this, maybe, or Indiana Jones it was a big Steven Spielberg movie. But it's super exciting. He's handsome, he's a professor, and then by night he's fighting the Nazis and he's rescuing artifacts of Christianity and other religious, and it's people think that this is kind of like what people who find manuscripts look like. Right? They're out fighting people, and maybe there's a black market and there's deception, and when in reality most undiscovered or hidden manuscripts have been found in libraries. Honestly. In dusty old drawers when someone cleans it out and they're like, oh wow, this is an undocumented manuscript. Some of the most important manuscripts have been found in libraries, not in the caves of Kathmandu or wherever Indiana Jones goes. This is Erasmus discovering manuscripts in his local library. No, this is probably just him hanging out in his house. I don't know, but this is the picture of the textual critic that finds biblical manuscripts, okay? Nice black silk robe, maybe perusing through the ancient archives of libraries. All right, this is the ancient city of Tura outside of Cairo. Why do I have this here? Okay, so we have the Mediterranean here, Nile River. In Tura, in the 40s, there was just a massive find of manuscripts, which contributed to people's understanding of the New Testament. It caused them to maybe challenge what they thought about earlier manuscripts or the earliest possible manuscripts. This is just a collection of caves, and this isn't a very clear picture. It's very, very old, but here you see a cave entrance. You see a cave entrance here. This is actually a World War II cache of weapons. So this would have been some type of military outpost, and And in order to keep their weapons and ammunition dry, they would put their ammunition in these caves. And this is a perspective from the inside, looking out. So this is either here or here. Just massive systems. This is all military equipment. This guy probably found this manuscript, right? They're digging, they're chiseling out, and they're looking to the backs of these caves where they're storing their equipment, and they find these ancient jars or containers that have these ancient manuscripts. And oftentimes these manuscripts would be passed out among the soldiers, and the soldiers would sell them on the underground market for money. In the same way that a soldier might come across a famous, they may raid an important house or something, and they take the valuables from the house. It's really kind of sad. But they knew that these were important texts. Tura is just one of many locations. Which gets me finally to my research. My research on the Church Fathers started from my curiosity with that question. If the Greek New Testament was written in the 1st century, but the earliest manuscripts of the Greek New Testament are in the 2nd, 3rd, and then the full complete copies of the New Testament start in the 4th, what about this middle period of time? And so that's where my research came in on the Church Fathers. Now, Sid mentioned Eusebius and Jerome. The Church Fathers were this generation of theologians, believers, church leaders after the time of the apostles. Roughly 200, 300 years of these kind of definitive early Christian theologians. And the good thing about these theologians is that they wrote extensively on the New Testament. And why this is important is because, unlike Jerome, there's other church fathers who wrote in Greek. So they were very, very focused on the biblical text when they wrote their treatises on theology. And they cite the New Testament extensively in their writings as proof texts. So they may say something about Jesus or the church, and then they say, the reason I believe this is because of this particular verse, blah, 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 blah. And these church fathers, there's so many of them, and they've written so extensively that you can actually reconstruct the Greek New Testament based off of their citations of the Greek New Testament in their own writings. So, this is what I did. This is a painting of Origen of Alexandria, who lived in North Africa. He was from Alexandria. He was one of the earliest and most impactful, I guess you could say, Greek theologian. Wrote extensively, 72 extant works. Probably wrote a lot more than that. So what I did is I went through all of his works. And every time he cited Paul's epistles, specifically 2 Corinthians, Romans, and Galatians, I indexed that. And because he's writing in Greek, he's quoting in Greek, so I'm thinking if he quotes the Greek text, he's either quoting a manuscript that he's working from or has access to, or he's writing from a Greek text that he memorized. And in that process, I began to understand a little bit better maybe the text that Origen knew in the 2nd century. Okay, so if the earliest complete manuscripts are in the 4th, and we have some scraps from the 2nd and the 3rd, maybe we can read the writings of someone from the 2nd century and figure out what kind of text they were using. And that was my PhD dissertation, which hopefully is coming out in print this year.
I want a copy.
Hurry up. So, the quest for the Greek New Testament, it starts and it ends with manuscripts. And the importance of this search is that the more and more manuscripts that are found, the more significant, and I question whether there can be even earlier manuscripts. There's no way to know. Just like there's no way to know that those manuscripts in the 20th century would have changed the way that we view the New Testament. But the important thing is that it's over time a copying process, and in order to understand this first century text, we have to understand the medium by which we've received it, which is handwritten copies for 1,500 years, and then we're introduced to the printing press and mass-produced manuscripts. And maybe this is outside the bounds of this meeting or this group. But I would encourage you to think that if you are a person of faith, or even if you're a skeptic and you don't believe any of this nonsense and you think it's just crazy that anybody would believe the Bible, maybe you're one of the two or maybe you're somewhere in between. The important thing to know is that as important as the Bible is, think about maybe what was most important to those people who never had access to a Bible. And how that informed their faith, their beliefs, and how it caused them to think about Christianity. And maybe the overemphasis of the modern Christian, or maybe even the modern skeptic, this modern perspective that if my English translation doesn't make sense to me, then it must be all bogus and ridiculous. And I'm trying to encourage you through this that, yes, there is a long, oftentimes complex history of the Bible, but the Bible is a witness. It's a witness to something bigger. It's a witness to something beyond the written text, and that is the original message, and not necessarily the original manuscripts. Thank you.
Ačiū, Matthew. Dabar jeigu kas nors turėtumėt klausimų, galima paklausti lietuviškai, tada aš išversiu, bus galima paklausti angliškai. If you want to ask a question in English, you can do that, and now's the time for the Q&A. So be brave, būkite drąsūs, klauskite, kas tik jums ateina į galvą. Ne, prašau.
Noriu paklausti, jeigu galima, senovės laikais buvo daug tekstų, kurie dabar yra nekanoniniai, nekanoninės evangelijos, Judo evangelija, Tomo evangelija, Petro ir Pauliaus evangelija, net Marijos Magdalenos evangelija ir panašiai. Taip pat ir Kumrano lentelės ir panašiai, kurios buvo tarsi šventraščiai tuo metu. Ar pranešėjas laiko, kad tai tuo metu, ką dabar turime nekanoninę, tuo metu buvo Naujojo Testamento dalis, nes tokiu atveju dabartinis Naujasis Testamentas nuo senovinio Naujojo Testamento skiriasi. O jeigu kalbam tik apie kanoninės knygas, kas buvo anksčiau ir dabar, tai yra vertimų, kurie labai yra arti originalo. Tai kokios pozicijos autorius laikosi šito klausimą?
So I'll try to ask the question in English now to summarize it. So what he's asking is basically that there have been, or there still are, some of the writings that were considered to be gospels. Let's say, well, we're talking about the Apocrypha, like the Gospel of Judas, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, and things like that. Even the tables of Qumran, he mentioned. He said that these were considered to be scripture, at least some of those. So if we have other writings that back in the day, maybe they were already a part of the, of the canon, or weren't they? If they were not, why? Now, because our New Testament, like the one that we have now, it must be different if there were more books included in that. If they're not included, then I don't know what the question is, but basically now we have the canon of 27 New Testament books, but there were more. So how did the New Testament, as we call it now, how did the canon look like back in the ancient days?
Yeah, great question. As
no, you can just go.
Really simply put, throughout history, the focus or the doctrine has become more and more specific. And a lot of the earlier creeds, like the Apostles' Creed or the Nicene Creed, like Nicene Creed, for example, is 325, I think. I mean, as Christianity grew, the requirements for it to be more definitive arose. And of course, as it's become more specific, it's created more pockets of people who have different beliefs, specifically about the Bible. But you mentioned the canon. In the earliest church, I guess you could say, for example, in Origen, in the 2nd century, Origen often quotes texts outside of our definitive canon as Scripture. And so it leaves the question of what is canon? And really canon is it's a process of choice, really. And it's based on specific things, like who wrote it? What type of doctrine is in these texts? And clearly there's, for example, like the Gospel of Thomas has not really been considered to be Orthodox Christian because maybe it wasn't related to a particular apostle that wrote it, but also the contents, right? This rule of faith that I mentioned earlier, and the kerygma, this common foundation for teaching. It's often things have been separated. I mean, for example, Revelation was not in the canon for several hundred years. It was 2 Peter is not considered an accepted text, right? So it's really kind of the development of the church. I don't know if that's.
I think it would be. Before we get to another question, I think it would be good if you could spend a couple of minutes, maybe up to 5 minutes, of trying to introduce people to what the canon is and why we don't have the Apocrypha in the canon. Because the questioner, what he was asking is because I think that maybe there were people who considered these, Apocrypha to be a part of the canon, to be scripture, but then they were not included.
Mm-hmm.
But why? And I occasionally hear questions from people, saying that, for example, the Gospel of Thomas, even 2 days ago, I was talking with a guy at a hostel. He was a receptionist, and he was schooling me on the different kinds of Gospels. He said there are several hundred of them, and there are deeper truths in those Gospels that are not a part of the canon. So if you could just do like a brief introduction of what the canon is and why we don't have the Apocrypha in there.
Yeah, I would separate this discussion from canon. Canon's more theological, and it's based off choice. It's based off the church's recognition of definitive texts, which is kind of feeding into my argument of when we look at a particular published copy of the Bible, New Testament, for example, 27 books, in nice order. We know that, most of the manuscripts of the New Testament have the books in different order. Some of them don't have certain books. Some of them do. And so the canon is really a recognition of the church. The church is recognizing specific texts as definitive. And as I mentioned, the Council of Trent, which was much later, but we have constant councils that are meeting over disagreements and people's perspectives. And so it's important to recognize that the Bible, even though there are specific texts from specific apostles, There are other texts that were used by early Christians, but they were, apocryphal, pseudepigraphal, meaning that it was a well-known practice to write under the name of someone else, and it was never meant to deceive. It was never meant to trick the reader. If you could read texts that have Moses in the title, and it's from the Middle Ages, or it's from an intertestamental period long after Moses, right? There's tons of evidence of writings that were never meant to be by the author that they say wrote it. All these things into consideration, it's through a development of not just theology, but the worldwide acceptance of whether texts were definitive or not. I know that sounds really general and vague, but there is no formula. There is no formula other than who wrote it, and does it fit in within our rule of faith, within the message of the church, dating back as far as they know. So, why are certain books not included? Some books are forgeries. Some books are against the teachings, the historical teachings of the church. Some texts are not related to specific people that were associated with either Jesus or the apostles. I would say those are the three main things.
Can I mention something?
Anything you would like to know?
And why it doesn't bother me that much is because, Jesus is presented in John chapter 1 as the Logos, And, of course, in the Greek concept of Logos was this mass understanding of logic and information that comes down from a divine source. That's how Plato would have seen this Logos, this divine source. And the reason why I think that all this struggle to figure out the canon and figure out what Greek manuscripts we should use, or what family of Greek manuscripts we should use, to me, I think that it's part of that Logos, in the sense that God wants us to struggle a little bit with it. Paul said in that famous verse, it says, "Study to show yourself approved unto God. A workman that doesn't need to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth," right? But that there's this thing about struggling a little bit to try to find that truth, and God didn't, like the Muslim God, supposedly the text is perfect from the very beginning, and we're supposed to believe that the Quran is God's word from the very beginning. But as Christians, we're honest. We know that there's a lot of diversity in the manuscript tradition. But to me, that only shows that God wants us to struggle a little bit to get that truth with everything we got. Not to be lazy, but to be hard workers in digging for that truth. That's why it doesn't bother me that much that there is this diversity. That there is some differences in the New Testament, because I'm part of this system that the Logos brought to the earth, and now I'm part of that Logos, I get to struggle and find out what the truth is from Christianity, or from the Bible, from the text, from the traditions, and see, okay, God, Holy Spirit, help me to find this, and help me to dig for it, and stuff. So that's why it doesn't bother me that much.
Good to hear you that it doesn't bother you, Sid.
Aš turiu klausimą.
Yes, a question, but maybe you wanted to add something to that? No?
A lot of the tension that maybe Lorena's had with the conversation with the guy in the hostel is that there is kind of a modern concern with conciseness and reliability, and this question of, can I trust it? And anytime we're talking about historical documents, including the Quran, despite the claims, manuscripts always disagree with each other. And that has nothing to do with the divine, that has to do with the fallibility of the copyists. And the same thing goes for the canon. I think if we're going to take this theological, I would press the importance of what do the texts point to? What is the message that the text is trying to describe? What is the context of what Paul or the gospel authors are saying to the individuals? If we look at the Gospels, for example, Luke, the beginning of Luke says, I'm trying to convince you of the truth that you already know. It's never, I'm trying to reveal new truths through the Gospel of Thomas. It's always pointing back to something that is very understood and already undisputable. And so when we talk about canon, it's kind of, we're talking about like ripples after a boat's passed. The boat's already passed, and we know what the boat is. But everything that's kind of trickling, whether you're Baptist or Anabaptist, or whether you choose the King James Version or the NASB, right? All of these issues are specifics that people really care about. But something that, at least, yes, this is kind of a technical study, but really it had a lot to do with my development and what I've believe, and what I've come to see is, for me, is not things that are necessarily essential anymore. So really what we're talking about theology when it comes to canon, even though it seems like it's more of a administration or some type of decision. It really is based on people's perspectives and what they believe about God. So I think those decisions have been made based off those criteria, that some texts just aren't as essential as pointing back to what has already been agreed upon. So.
Aš tiesiog apie originų teologiją norėjau paklausti.
Ask about Origen's theology.
Yeah.
Ar jis buvo daugiau į Evangelijas, ar į Pauliaus laiškus, ar į tuos kitus išorinius šaltinius?
Ką reiškia į tuos, labiau koncentravosi?
Tas pridėtinės Evangelijas, ar visokius ten laiškus, kurie nėra įtraukti. Kas jo teologijoje yra?
Aš bandau suprasti klausimą dabar iki galo, kad išverčiau teisingai. Ar Origenas labiau savo teologijos ėmėsi iš Evangelijų, Pauliaus, ar kažkokių... Kas labiausiai atspindi jo teologiją?
Ir koks tas Naujasis Testamentas jo atrodytų?
So we'll start with the second question. How would Origen's New Testament look like? What he would include as a part of that? And the other thing would be, what would have influenced Origen's theology the most, meaning the canonical Gospels or Paul's letters, or maybe some other sources that wouldn't be a part of the canon? What would be his theology most reflective of?
That's a great question. If I remember correctly, I think that Origen recognizes all of the New Testament as Scripture. He also refers to other texts, like, for example, the Shepherd of Hermas, which was a widely accepted text. Origen's, I couldn't point to a specific book that would shape his theology, but he definitely cites the Gospel of John the most. And let's see, what else? Here's the question. Here's an important question, though. He cites the letter, Paul's epistle to the Romans the most outside of the Gospels. But did he? Or is that just what is left over from what we have. So I'm looking at the copies of Origen's writings that exist. So there may have been other works that he wrote about and cited others, but Origen's theology was very unique. He was perhaps the earliest Greek theologian that's actually wrestling with these questions. He often asks questions about reincarnation or even the pre-existence of souls, or he's struggling to figure out what we now look back and say, oh, that's not orthodox. And this kind of gets into the canon question, is that as you read Origen, you understand that he is someone who is kind of talking about things that are going to be decided ahead of his time. And he's trying to figure out the specifics of theology. Now, what's interesting is, despite all these various questions that he has about souls and about the resurrection and about the Lord's table and what all these theological concepts mean, he's constantly saying what the gospel is. He's constantly saying that Jesus is the Messiah, that Jesus brings righteousness through faith, that Jesus' blood and his resurrection are what's essential to the rule of faith. It's very, very interesting that despite, we're talking about someone who was condemned as a heretic much later on after his death. He has all these questions and he has all these kind of unorthodox discussions with himself about certain things, but at the root of it, he's a very, very relatively conservative theologian. So I can't answer which book would kind of inform us or inform his theology the best, but Origen is a very interesting character. And this is just my experience, but as I read the early church fathers, it's almost bizarre, some of the kind of allegories, specifically Origen, that they come up with. That you know, just random things that maybe modern theologians wouldn't think of. It's almost kind of a primitive.
And him being from Alexandria, he would have that influence from the Greek philosophers too, so there would be some of that overlap.
He grew up in a philosophical school. So. Any more questions? Any more comments? Complaints? Judgments? Condemnations?
You can just compliment your beard. That's what I can do.
It's really just a front to cover up for my lack of knowledge.
Taip, ar dar yra tada kažkokių klausimų? I'll just say it in English, because I was going back and forth into Lithuanian English, this kind of thing. The only reason why I sort of allow myself to touch Matthew's beard because I've known him for a couple of years now. So
I normally would have killed him.
It's not the first time. Not the first time. Being influenced by Origen so much and being close to heretical thoughts, might happen. Dar kokį nors pabandykim paskutinį klausimą, arba aš turėsiu tada sugalvoti, kadangi reikia išnaudoti tą situaciją, kol Matthew yra čia. So, sometimes, for the last question, because I want to seize the situation while Matthew is still here. Of course, he's going to be close, for the rest of a couple of years, I guess, but still. Bus diskusija, taip. Okay, so I guess my last question would be, now from your maybe a bit more personal experience, because you taught the Bible for 3 years at LCC, right? Almost 3 years. But that was three academic years. Mm-hmm. And we met when I came to work at LCC. You came the same year, but then we moved back to Vilnius. And we were talking about this a little bit, but you got a much better grasp, I guess, during those 3 years while teaching the students of what their main questions would be. So my question would be, what are the most pressing questions for students that you were teaching? Because you, most of the students, you know, it's not a secret that most of them wouldn't consider themselves to be Christians, or at least in their theology, definitely not Orthodox Christians, right?
Right.
But they're sitting in class because it's mandatory. So Introduction to the Bible is mandatory, so everybody has to take it. And you have a room full of people, you know, some of them have never even had a Bible in their hands. They have no idea what it's talking about, right? Some of them are from Christian circles and they know some things already. But regardless that they come from all sorts of different backgrounds, what would be the most interesting or most important questions, rather, for you that the students ask you, if that makes sense?
What would be the most important questions that they asked me? That's a great question. I think the main concern, and this may or may not answer your question, but I feel like the students that I had that had no prior knowledge of the Bible or no experience reading it, and then the students that thought they knew the Bible, something that both of them struggled with, I think, was this question that I raised of kind of related to, well, what if the Bible disappeared? The emphasis on the text, and either to invalidate or to validate what they already think. Okay, and I think that that's something that all of us do to some extent. We have certain beliefs and we try to validate that based on our experience. But one thing it's interesting with the Bible is that whether you take someone that's extremely fanatic or someone who is 100% atheist and has no interest, is that there's this tendency to speak about the Bible in general ways that either confirm what someone already holds to or to make it have an excuse to access it at all. And I think that something that this talk is trying to challenge is the same thing that I spoke to my students, is that before you try to discredit something or to blindly validate it, it's important to know what we're actually talking about. When it comes to the Bible, we're talking about a text. We're talking about a message. We're talking about teaching based on something else. And so one thing that we often addressed and struggled with is this question of reliability and trust. And I'm passionate about this, and having been out of that particular context, I haven't thought about it as much, but the question comes down to me. The question that I often pose to the students is, what is it that you actually believe? Let's not talk or fight over theology or canon or the reliability of the Bible, but get down to the brass tacks or the very specific aspects of, is this your argument because you are unwilling to actually ask hard questions? And I ask that to the person who's completely convinced that their perspective of the Bible is true, and the skeptic who's 100% positive that their negative perspective of the Bible is true. And I think that that's everybody in between. It's important to have a little bit of an open mind to the issues that are related to it. And I know a lot of those issues aren't necessarily common knowledge, but the main question that we discussed was, if the Bible isn't 100% error-free and from over the last 21 centuries, can I be a Christian? can I have a solid faith? And it's good, because any discussion of the Bible should ultimately get to God and what you believe God's message is. And if the person of Jesus is the person who's claiming to be infallible, who's claiming to be perfect, who's claiming to have the things that we often put on the Bible, it's important to kind of redirect it back to what most Christians have always believed. So it's mainly the issue of can I trust it? Is it reasonable? But mainly the question goes from is it reasonable to is it undeniable? Is it 100% safe? And the question is no. There's always that room for doubt. There's always that room for, do I really believe this? And I think that that's something that strengthens faith. And I often said that to the students as well. That if it was 100% knowledge and you never doubted and you never had questions or concerns that you were dealing with, then it's not faith. It's not something that requires you to trust. If it was about information, then everybody would be a believer, or no one would be a believer. If it was based on proof, there's a reason. Like Sid said earlier, there's tension, and in that tension creates. It's a long-winded answer, but it creates something that's valuable. That's part of the essence of belief. So it's basically just trust and the hesitancy of putting one's faith onto something that appears to be unreliable. Yeah.
Well, all right. So it's not a question, just one little thing. Maybe it's not too little, but most of you probably don't know that Matthew has, some other things that he does on the side. One of them is he's a musician. He creates songs, writes songs, and he has his own YouTube channel, which is MC Stein, right? You can find him there. He's doing hip-hop music. So maybe the next time when he comes over, we'll have a discussion on that, because we have a format for that as well. So that's that, but you also have a podcast, right? The Word of Pod?
I have a weekly podcast called The Word of Pod, and really, it's really based off the material from my class, my previous Bible class at LCC, and first series walked through the book of Genesis, the second series is walking through the book of Luke, and it's kind of a neutral, safe Bible study for anybody who's interested in the text. So talk about context and a little bit of theology and first century perspective, and the Word of Pod. It's on Spotify.
I'll put all the links in the description box beneath the video. And you also put out your sermons, right? Or you used to on YouTube.
We record the entire service, so all the music, all the readings, and the sermons of the International Church of Vilnius, and that's also on the podcast as well.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's give a hand to Matthew. So now we have some time because we have time until 6, so another 15 minutes or so to talk with Matthew if you want. Just grab a hold of him and ask him hard questions, and yep.